Welcome back to another episode of Extraordinary Women. Today's guest is a dear friend of mine. You know, we grew up
Aw.
together, same hometown, same area. Please welcome everybody, Tami. Tami, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, I'm so good. I'm so excited to be part of this. This is so exciting. I love the idea of women empowerment and just hearing everybody's story. I've waited a long time to be part of this, so I'm so
Yeah.
excited to finally get this done with you.
Yes, we tried this last year, or last season. We tried to get you on last season, but then plans didn't work out with that. And then this time, this is literally a third time we have tried to get you for the interview, and it was so funny, you guys. Like, well, that's a whole other story, you guys. We're trying to get her on, but we finally got her, and it's all worked out now. So, Tam, please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and your occupation, and just a little bit about what you do.
All right, so I am from Hanover, Pennsylvania, smallest small town you'll ever run into.
Thank you.
Everyone knows everyone.
Yes.
Full thing. I model. I'm 25, about to be 26. Whoop whoop. I started modeling when I was like maybe 17 or 18. I got into it actually because my friend's boyfriend went to photography school and was like, I think you're so cute. Like, you should try this. And then he started taking pictures of me, and I was like, this is so fun. And I feel like most people, when they get into modeling, it's because they have like this ego, not necessarily a bad one, but they're like, I'm so pretty, I'm so this, this is what I want to do, I know I could get paid for it. But I liked modeling because of like the artistic side of it. Like, you get to be a different person. Sometimes you look completely different, your hair, your makeup, your outfits. Like, that's why I kept doing it, because I'm like, this is so cool. Like, sometimes I just don't want to feel like myself. I'm a different person on set. Like, it's just so fun and creative. And that's something that always stuck out with modeling to me, just being like artsy and being able to express yourself in ways that you can't always do in your everyday life.
Right, right. It's so interesting that you put it that way, that modeling is a form of art, because some people they will look at it like, oh, it's just an ego thing. Oh, I'm just pretty. Look at me. But
Yeah.
when you look at it, if you really are a fan of modeling and you're really into it, fashion, you really do see the artistic side of every model. And I know for me, like I learned how artistic modeling was when I was growing up watching America's Next Top Model, how
Yes.
they changed those competitors, or uh I guess the word is competitors, but there's another word I'm looking for them to describe them. But participants, there we go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Change the participants look, I think, like in maybe the second, like every season, it was like a second or third episode, they would change their look, and they
Right.
would give them this high fashion look, and they would look so different. Like, it's like, oh wow,
It's
they did
crazy.
a really good job with them. They do not look the same, and they really do look high fashion like. So what was it like for you breaking into that industry? So you said you started at 17. I assume that was when you were still at Southwest, just kind of doing it as like a fun thing, side
Yeah.
hobby type of thing. Then you graduated, and then what? What was the process of getting into that industry like for you?
So at first, I'm thinking this is gonna be hard. I don't know anyone. I don't know what to do. I'm from a small town, like, but
Mhm.
I think this is cool and people get paid to do this. Why couldn't I? Like, why couldn't I?
Right.
And then somebody actually was like, oh, they're having the last season of America's Next Top Model auditions. You should go, yada yada. And I was like, yeah, no. Like, I was like, I'm totally not doing that. So I never did. But then my oldest sister, her husband, his stepdad, a friend of a friend of a friend. No, but seriously, his stepdad's friend was a photographer. And he's like, but he used to model. Like, he was on like the men's shaving boxes. He's been in commercials. Like, he's modeled for like Wrangler and this and that. And I'm like, that's so cool. And he's like, yeah, here's his info. Hit him up. So I was like, hey, like, I'd love to shoot with you. I don't know, like, what your prices are. What's this? What's that? And he's like, honestly, I think you have a good look. Like, I'll cut you a deal and everything, since like I know it's probably expensive. You're young. So I go and I shoot with him, and it was so cool because I only watched America's Next Top Model. I only modeled with my friend's boyfriend a handful of times. But since he was a model first, he knew how to tell me to do things, or like I could feel comfortable. Like if I don't look right, he'd be like, oh, like maybe just like tilt your head a little bit more like this or like that. And I learned so much from him because he was a model before photographer, and it was easy to take direction from him. I didn't have to feel like awkward or anything. And then he actually was like, well, I'm connected with a few agencies in Philly. Like there's two like competitors. I can send your information to both of their head booking agents and see like who comes back first. You can go have a meeting, yada, yada. So I ended up doing that. And then I got signed with an agency, Click. They have a branch in New York too. And then after that, I just started like, she booked me like everything she possibly could. I started going to castings, and I started, sometimes I didn't even have to go to a casting. She would just be like, can I submit you to this? Then boom, I booked the job. I did on-air modeling for QVC. They like do your hair and makeup there. Like that was super fun. But yeah, she kind of got the ball rolling for me, or I should say Joe, because he's the one that like plugged me in with them. So for me, it was a lot easier than it probably would have been if I didn't go shoot with Joe. Like I would have had to do so much more by myself. I'm not plugged to agencies. I don't know agents. But if there's like a shoe way in, it's probably like shooting with a photographer and them sending your information on to the next person.
Yeah, yeah. And some people would think, trying to get into that industry, or really any kind of entertainment industry, is really easy. And
Oh my gosh,
it's
no.
not. It's really
No.
hard. It's really competitive because everybody has something to offer. Everybody has something creative or artistic about them to offer.
Right.
Whether it's music, whether it's modeling, whether you are a writer, like my brother, he does
Yeah.
screenwriting, and does his own podcast or his own little show, little cartoon show that he does, Black to School. So it really is hard, to break into an industry if you don't really know anyone, and sometimes just knowing people that does help.
Right.
But for people that don't know, I'm actually one of the people. So, what does a normal day or a typical day look like when you are modeling? When you book something, let's say it's in LA, like how does all of that process work? Because when I think about it, it looks like a lot of work to me. It looks like a lot of planning, a lot of coordinating. You got to submit stuff here, submit stuff there, then call people, I'm sure. So, what
Yeah.
does a normal, like a day in the life of a model, what is that like?
Honestly, some days you could have a casting the same day you have a shoot, which those days it's like, oh my gosh. But let's just say a normal day going to set, whatever. So your agent will tell you, sometimes it's even the day before, like, hey, you booked this. This is how like you should look. You should can show up, hair, makeup, not done most of the time because there's people on set that do your hair and your makeup. You get there, sometimes they're ready for you, sometimes they're really not. You could be sitting around. It's like, you want to just get the ball rolling. But once you get the ball rolling, honestly, as long as you know your angles, how to find the light, it's really just a fun process. Half of the time they ask you what music you like because they want the model to feel comfortable. Like, um, then okay, when they do your hair and your makeup, it can, for me specifically, be I don't know even the word to use, challenging maybe. I can sit still, I can do all of that, but I feel like as a Black woman, sometimes just knowing your own skin tones and your shades and stuff, you would rather only do your makeup yourself, and then you show up to set and then they might not know how to work with your skin tone, they might not know how to work with your hair. Like that can be challenging because then you still have to perform after that, and it's like, oh, I just want to cry because I look crazy. But that doesn't always happen. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Some days it really does get tough when you don't even feel comfortable because there might not be somebody on set that knows how to work with what you have. But really, once you get in front of the camera, super simple, super easy. They might be shooting a lot of shots. They might just get one and be like, this is good. go outfit change. The stylist most of the time will pin things up on you, even if it doesn't fit, just so it looks like it was like accustomed to your body. After that, you know, the day's over. Oh, they will feed you lunch.
Oh, free lunch. That's always good. I
You'll
would
have a
definitely
little
feed
lunch.
you.
Yeah, you'll have a little lunch break or whatever. Eat, socialize if there's other models there. That's always fun to me when there's other models that you get to
Yeah.
meet, or like just because like you said earlier, like knowing people, sometimes they might be plugged in with something that you're not, and then
Yeah.
you can keep the ball rolling just by like meeting another model on set. But yeah, then after lunch you'll do the same thing. Usually everybody has their own personal rack with your name on it. Whatever, once your rack is done, they send you off, and then you'll receive a check from your agent, yada yada. They got to get their cut, you know how it is. But
Yeah. You mentioned something that was really interesting. I mean, I was really important um, about how sometimes you get on set and there may not be someone on that knows how to work with, you know, your skin tone or your hair, the kind of hair that you have. So talk to me a little bit about what your experience has been like as a Black woman in the modeling industry, as far as, you know, getting your foot in the door, booking some castings and being on set and being surrounded by, you know, other women that might look different from you, non-Black women, and just kind of working with them. What has that experience been like for you?
Okay, so I would say that experience has been 50-50. You
Mhm.
know, 50% good, 50% like, oh my gosh, like this is not okay. As far as castings and bookings, those are almost hard because I feel like every girl that they have, especially now, they are pushing for people that look mixed, quote mixed, because the world is just evolving, you know. So there might be, you know, different races there, but then every girl that's like brown probably looks like me, has curly hair like me. I think that is like the most difficult because you want to stand out, but chances are if you're like a Black girl, the other Black girls that are sent to that casting look, I mean, not exactly like you because nobody else looks like you, but it's like hard because you're competing with people that don't look like you on like, you know, a different race spectrum, because you're like, oh, well, maybe they're looking for blonde hair. Maybe they're looking for like pin straight Asian hair. Maybe they're, and then on top of that, you're competing with girls that look just like you. So I feel like that's always been super difficult for me, just getting in the mindset of like, well, she might look like me, but she might not have my personality. She might not have my smile. That's been super difficult. Um, I would say on set, working like with the hair and everything, I've literally had times where I would go into the fitting room and just cry. I have naturally curly hair that you don't have to do much with. So I
Mhm.
feel like if I'm showing up with my hair like, okay, like don't touch it, you know, you don't have to work for it. Like it's here, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then the stylist would go in with like a little teeny tiny curling wand and start to like re-curl, not just like pieces that were different, like curl textures. They would curl every piece with this teeny tiny curling iron.
Mhm.
But then I literally look like I have like a curly fry hair, and not in a cute way. Like it's like my hair shrunk down. It's like I just look
Yeah.
a mess. And it is really difficult dealing with that. And like I said, that time I just went in the fitting room and I just started crying. And I was like, I don't even know how I can work when, to me, I look a mess. Like, who would want to see this in a magazine? Who would want to see this in a campaign? Nobody would want to see this.
Yeah.
And the stylist was, she wasn't Black. I think she was like some kind of Spanish. She came in the fitting room and was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I know our stylist is like, you know, older and it's a white male, like he doesn't know how to work with your hair. I'm so sorry this happened. And I, you know, I was like, I'm not crying because I'm mad. It's just like my job is to perform and feel comfortable. And I
Yeah.
feel so, for lack of another word, ugly. Like I just feel ugly.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know, like, I'm gonna try to give you the best outfits today, like just trying to make me feel better.
Yeah.
And sometimes at the end of the day, I just like remember like it is a job, but my pay doesn't change. I might feel uncomfortable, but yeah, it's been kind of hard dealing with things like that because then, there's other people, other races that go in there, they walk out looking like perfect. And I'm like, why can't you do that for me?
Yeah.
So that hasn't been a challenge for me, but like I said, as I like grew and kept going, I'm just like, hey, you know what, do your job no matter what. Like if you're beautiful, you're beautiful, just work it.
Yeah.
But it's hard, it does get hard and upsetting, like really upsetting.
No, I can believe it. I can believe it. I mean, you see how those girls have cried on Top Model when they cut their hair off.
Yes.
And when they, completely, even some of the guys sometimes, like if a guy comes in there with really long hair, he's had long hair all his life and he's let it grow out. And sometimes guys can have beautiful long hair, black or white. And when they go in and they change that look, it's almost like it's not so much it's a signature, but it's just a part of who you are.
Right.
It's just a part of who you are, where you come from, how you've always grown up, how you've always done your hair. And when someone comes in, they change that, it kind of takes a piece of you away. And it's hard to be a different person. It's hard to make a look that you're not used to work. But, like you say, you try to think of it as a job, and you try to work it the best way you can. So aside from the experience of being a Black woman in the modeling industry, what would you say is the hardest part about being a model? Whether it's travel, whether it's, just getting your head in a game. Let's say, I don't know, you had a bad day, you just had an argument with a friend, or, your mom, sister, whoever. Like, how do you get into a mindset of, okay, I'm at work, this is work, and how do you not like let any outside personal experiences affect you?
I think as far as letting like my outside world affect me, kind of like I said, sometimes people think that you model because you have an ego, but it's almost like not an ego, but you have to have like an alter ego because your job is to perform. Like they are not going to book you again if you're sitting on set or like while you're getting your hair and makeup done, like, sappy Sally. They're not going to be like, oh, this girl is great to work with. It's just like, in your mind, you just like have to be like, I have to separate what's going on from going to work, just like any other job. You know what I mean? I mean, you just have to do what you have to do.
Yeah.
But I think just like the hardest part about modeling, well, that would be one, like setting it aside because your emotions read on your, well, I know me, like my face, like my face, if I'm not feeling it, like you can see it all over my face.
Scorpio, so yeah. So it definitely reads, I'm sure. I know a lot of Scorpios where you can see their heart on their sleeve.
Literally. So that is hard in general, but I think because I'm not like a competitive person, sometimes just the aspect of always having to compete is very hard in the modeling industry. Like sometimes I just want to walk into a casting and be like, hi, how are you, to somebody else, but like everybody's just kind of like half smiles and like, head nods, and I'm like, I am a social sweet person, so I'm like, okay, I have to not act different, but I have to reel it in a little bit because I don't want to be taken as like this joke, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I love to be social. So the like anti-social part of modeling, or like being around other models, and if they were a model longer than you and they were like a childhood model, they think that they should have like some privilege over you, or like just a not a stank attitude, but some people really do. Not everybody. Right, everybody is like, some people are so nice, like, oh hey, like yada yada, but then some people are like just think they're above you almost, like. So that would be the hardest part for me personally, is not being able to be as openly social as I would want to be if I'm having any experience in the modeling industry, casting, bookings, even sometimes on set. like the other models are not nice. It just is how it works out. So just like remembering your personality, but not everyone deserves like you to put your personality out there, because sometimes you'll get shut down, and then again it would be hard to work and perform if somebody's being rude to you. So just kind of keeping yourself reserved, but in a way sometimes it's nice if you can just bloom and be your own personality. Like then other people see that, other people like that, they might book you again because you're being more open and being more sweet. It's just a hard mix and a hard balance of knowing what to do and when to do it. I think that probably is the hardest thing, knowing what to do and when to do it, because your next move could be literally your last move. If one person's like, yeah, I worked with this girl, don't book her, and then it trickles down like because you have an attitude or something like that. I guess just being prepared and knowing the situation and knowing your surroundings is kind of hard. Just take a book and read the book. Read the book and smile.
I'm sitting here thinking about how in some industries all you get is one shot, and some industries, that's all you got. You have like everybody, of course, like you have to make a good first impression. And even in some industries, if you don't, it's like, oh, okay, you may have another shot. Like for me in the broadcasting journalism, if I were to make a bad impression on the first day, or the second day or something, and I had a really bad first new week, nobody is gonna fire me on the spot. They're gonna allow me to adjust and get used to the industry, and they'll keep giving me some chances to develop and learn and grow. Versus some industry like modeling, acting, especially acting, and I know I know this from like what my brother says, what Manny says all the time. If you show up on set, you can be the most talented, most creative in character person. You could play a role so well, but if you are difficult to work with, you are a pain in the ass, if you are, very demanding, no one's going to want to work with you. And people are going to talk about you, especially in LA, especially in Hollywood. Like, you think, oh, LA is so big. No, actually,
it's not.
LA is kind of like Hanover. Everybody knows everybody.
Literally.
Everybody knows everybody in LA. If you've likely crossed paths with that person at some point, and you'll probably remember them. But I can just imagine how difficult that might be, where you have to show up on set and you have to make a good first impression, so that way you can book another casting. And I just know, like I said, based on what Manny tells me, sometimes in those industries you just got to be really careful what you say it, how you present yourself. I mean, think about it. Like, there are some actors to this day that you don't hear from as much anymore.
Right.
You've heard bad things about them in the news and the media based on what people have said that work with them, and how bad and how frustrating they are. So I can only imagine like that being difficult. It's like, nope, one and done, you're done. You're not coming back. How would you say social media has played a role in modeling and for people wanting to look like that girl in their timeline? And more importantly, please feel free to be honest and speak out. Like, does any girl look like, what they see on their timeline?
So social media plays like a huge role in everything. I mean, even like my boyfriend's always like, you have a package. And I'm like, oh, it's just like clothes. I just have to like shoot the clothes. And then like, he's like, you get free clothes. I'm like, yeah. It's like really awesome, because then even, okay, so I shoot their clothes, then I send them the pictures, whatever. I post it, they post it. That's also another opportunity for me. Somebody else might see me on their page. Oh, we love this girl. Let's book her. Let's send her clothes. Let's do this. Let's do that. So for me, in those ways, I love social media. Who doesn't love free stuff? Like, who doesn't, and also just getting your face out there more is awesome. As far as it's so confusing because there's like Instagram models that still now somehow are getting signed by top agencies or like whatever because it's the look now, which I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, it can put a damper on a model that's really worked hard from a young age to, you know, be this or be that. And then now the look, you know, it's even changing. At first it was be really skinny or really skinny and tall, but now you can have, you know, get a BBL and you're still getting signed by Wilhelmina or Next or whoever.
Yeah.
So it's just confusing, especially for younger girls. And as far as, you know, do people look like they look on Instagram? Living in LA for a time, no, I'm sorry, they don't. Like, if we can just put this out there, you can meet somebody. What do you do? That's the first thing everybody asks in LA. Like, what do you do?
What do you
Blah, blah,
do?
blah, you know? I'm like, shoot, like what? But anyway, so you just get accustomed to that. And, you know, then here's my Instagram. What's yours? Blah, blah. You take their Instagram. And then when you have a second to go look at it, it's like, this is not the person I just met. Sometimes, not always, but 7 times out of 10, I will say that most of the time people don't look how they look on their social media. And I think that that creates a super confusing environment for specifically models because, or people wanting to be a model or get into the industry because you're seeing a certain idea of like her Instagram, but that might not be what she's shooting or how she's looking on set. Like she might look completely different. She might have like just natural hair with barely any makeup, but then her Instagram, because of how social media is, she might just look like one of those Instagram models, but she could be a higher fashion model. But her Instagram, that's what's appealing to everybody right now. You know what I mean? Like bikini pics, you know, small waist, bigger butt, like everything like that can get confusing because then let's say you are just, I don't want to be like a normal girl, but you know what I mean? Just a woman trying to get into like that industry. And then you see this and you think this is what they want. So then you're going to an open call with like, you know, you don't always have to wear skin tight clothing either. Like, you know, a lot of my model friends, when they go to castings, they might wear like a black little t-shirt and like some loose fitting mom jeans. It's so confusing. Social media confuses people that want to get into the industry because then you don't even know what you're supposed to look like, you know? So for me, I think social media is beneficial in certain ways, but then also it's really distracting and confusing being a model or wanting to be a model because there's this picture that now you're comparing yourself to. Should I look like this? Should I do this? Should I do that? And most of the time you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like you just shouldn't because that's not really what they're looking for.
Have you ever been told that you need to change something about your look, your nose, your lips, your eyes, or something? Were you ever told that you have to change the way you look in order to make it? If so, like how did you handle that? And if that hasn't happened to you, what advice do you have for people that that has happened to, where they were told, oh, you need to get work done on your nose, you need to get work done on your lips because you don't fit the idea of beauty? What advice do you have for people like that?
So personally, I've never had too much of like change this, change that. Basically, the only thing that I've had is like a time where I might want to straighten my hair. My agent's like, no, wear it curly. Like that's like the biggest thing that I've ever had. I haven't had her say like, change this about specifically how you look. It's just been like hair stuff. But as far as people getting told like, change this, change that, it is so hard because even though I've never been told that, in my mind, sometimes I'm personally just like, oh, maybe I should get like, you know, lip filler. Maybe I should, you know, get a little bit straighter nose. I think my nose is a little bit crooked. And, you know, in the industry, even if you're not critiqued by your agent or like, you know, somebody that is trying to book you, you almost start to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But what I would say is everything is not for everyone. So like we're just seeing things that look good, or this model has this done or that done. And I just think it's important to try to be as true to yourself as you can. Even people that do have fillers or like, you know, nose jobs or whatever, that was for them. Just like remember what's for you, and don't base what somebody else is doing on what you should be doing with your career or your modeling. It might book you more jobs, but it might not. What if it doesn't go well for you? What if those surgeries aren't really what you're looking for and you turn out looking worse than you looked before, you know? It's just so, it is hard, but I would say just don't do anything that anybody is telling you to do. And if you feel like this is your passion and you're destined to do this, a lip filler, a nose job is not going to change that. Because when you walk into a casting and you're confident and whatever, somebody is going to book you based off of that, not a lip filler, not a nose job, not a boob job, not losing weight. They're going to want you how you are.
Right, right. I am definitely a firm believer in, no matter what industry you're in, someone is going to want to work with you because you are authentic. Authenticity, it sells. Just like,
Yes.
yes, I mean, sex, yes, that sells too. But I think we are now progressing into an era where just being yourself and being authentic is really starting to sell in
Yeah.
most cases, because people really want to, they want to see real looking people, real life stories, real people.
Yes.
This is part of what this platform is, extraordinary women. Like, I mean, we want to hear the real raw stories of what some of these women go through on a daily basis, the stay-at-home moms, the entrepreneurial moms, the CEO moms.
Yeah.
Everything that glitters really isn't gold. And to some extent, these people had to go through a lot of shit to get to where they are now.
Oh yes, completely.
And I was watching the real one time, and this is when Tamirra was on, and they actually had a similar discussion like this in their girl chat, where they were talking about, it was I think it was a little girl the same age at the time when Kylie Jenner was like dating Tyga and all that. And
okay, yeah.
like, she was like, I think she was like, I don't know, 16 or 17, I don't know. But there was a girl that, she loved Kylie Jenner. She really idolized her and really loved her. And she was saying how, she said to her mom that she really wants to get her lips done. She really wants to get her nose done. Not just because of her, even though, yes, Kylie inspires her, but also there are girls in her school that are getting their lips, nose, and boobs done.
In high school?
High school, yes. High school.
Oh my
God. They're teenagers. And they were getting all their stuff done only because they felt like that's what they needed to do to appeal a certain way. And something that, I think Tamirra actually says, she's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with getting work done, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. You want to get work done, do you get your work done, get your nose done, get your lips done, get your boob implants, do you, as long as you are doing it literally for you. Don't do it because someone else told you that you need to do it, that you should do it. Don't do it because, oh, you think that's what is selling right now, and people really want to be around people like that a little bit more, or they want to be friends with you a little bit more. If someone doesn't want to be friends with you or be in a relationship with you for how you already are, how you already look, then you don't need that person in your life, period.
Right.
But I've always been interested in how, social media, and seeing, how some people look, even guys, some guys too.
Yeah.
Because now I know there's a trend in the dad looking bods now, which personally I'm kind of digging. The dad I'm digging the dad bods and the models on like the Fashion Nova men. I am
Yeah.
digging the dad bods on the Fashion Nova men. I mean, the cut men, they're nice, they're cute, they're sexy. Yeah, we've seen that, but something about the dad bods that
Those
are now,
dad bods.
they are kind of like how there was a trend in like the man buns and the
Yeah.
beards and all of that. I am loving the dad bod trend. Please, if anybody, if there's any male model watching this right now and you are a model and you have a dad bod, please keep doing what you're doing, because women like me,
We love the dad bod.
we love it. And the question that I have is, I always love to ask this question. And it is there such thing as being too ambitious?
No, I don't think personally, because I think I'm an ambitious person and I think that it should just come from within. And I just feel like you can do anything. Let's say, well, I do model, but my boyfriend is a contractor. So now sometimes I help him remodel homes and I'm like getting into interior designing. And now I'm like, oh, I really like this. Like, but most people would be like, what? You've painted houses, you've ripped up flooring. And I'm like, yeah, because I can do everything because I'm a superwoman. So
Yep.
to me, I'm like, there's nothing that you can't do. And if you want to do it, you should have ambition. You should go after whatever you want to do. I mean, young or even old, you know what I mean? It's just nothing should stop you from doing anything that you want to do. I always believe in putting yourself first too, especially like now I'm being in like a relationship that I've been in for a while. I'm just like, I want you to be happy, but my happiness is not going to be based off of a man. I'm sorry. It's not. Like, we can grow together, we can be happy together, but I need to make sure that I'm doing the things that I want to do that make me feel good. I'm doing the things that I want to do with my career. I'm doing the things that I want to do financially. I think that having ambition is so important. Like, to me, of course, there's like not somebody that's too ambitious. I mean, there's people that, could be overly confident or but having ambition is like what keeps me going. I always want to get into something new. Now I'm like, okay, I model, but I kind of want to get into like beauty and makeup. Like, maybe I should go to cosmetology school and then I can be a model and I can be on set helping with that type of stuff.
Yep.
Ambition is what keeps my mind running with all of these things. Oh, well, like I said, modeling went hand in hand with art for me. Oh, I'm artistic, helping my boyfriend create like a whole new like home for people. That's so fun. That's artsy. Everything that I do is because I have ambition to do something more, ambition to try something new, because I think that I can do it and I know that I can.
Yeah.
So my answer is no.
I was gonna say, I don't mean to be nosy, but I was looking at the back of that bear. I'm like, that's a really nice painted background, and the painting. I'm like, I love the lion. Like, that's.
Oh,
really...
stop it! Thank you. I did it.
I was looking at that. I'm like, I'm not gonna be nosy. I'm not gonna call out her room, but it's really nice. I like it. I'm like, did she paint that or did he?
I did.
It looks good. You
Thank
you
you.
did the painting. You did did you put like the bedding all that together too? Like.
No, of course I didn't put the bed together. I'm like,
No. I mean, like
oh,
like
the idea of
like
everything.
choosing the color scheme. Yes.
Yes, everything. And like we're remodeling downstairs too. And it just gets hard for my boyfriend because he does it as a job. So when we get home, he's like, oh, I don't really want to do it. I'm like, I don't care. I'll paint the whole living room myself. Like,
I love that. I love it. It looks good.
Thank you.
For me, I'm going to say the same thing. No, there is no such thing as being too ambitious. Because even though I think I can be very ambitious, and when I am, I tend to take on more than what I should be doing. I always feel like when I'm not ambitious, I'm not getting anything done. I'm not getting as much done. And because there's so much that I want to do, even if I want to like scale back on a little something, but I'll still keep it on my list. Like, no, I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to accomplish it and get it done. I just got to focus on this for right now. But I'm still going to go back to that project. I'm still going to complete it. I feel like if you don't really have any drive or ambition, then like I don't want to say you'll never have anything, but I just feel like you'll grow into a place where you'll get stuck, and
Yes.
you won't you feel like there's nothing to improve. You feel
Hmm.
like there's nothing to grow on, or become better at. And I'm always looking at the next thing that I can do differently, or the next thing that I can accomplish. I do so much. I don't just do the podcast. I do the blog. I do my side business and home decor.
Yeah.
I do the podcast. I do.
What, you do home decor? Do you have like a little site, or what do you sell?
Oh yeah, so I'm working on that right now. I don't have a site just yet, but
I'm
actually,
like, I'm redoing downstairs. Let me know what you got.
yes, girls. So I'm actually in the process of getting the site set up. So I was gonna be doing a bunch of stuff like this fall, but being pregnant and then like dealing with a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
anxiety and prenatal anxiety, depression. I'm like, I need to cut back a little bit so I can just be in a healthy state of mind when my baby gets here.
Of course.
But after this season, I'm putting all my focus into my home decor because that is just what I love to do. It's
Well, I can't wait to
for
see
me.
you.
Yeah, at more_creatives on Instagram, just to kind of shout that out.
Okay.
There you go. You
No,
can see my products
seriously.
there. But yeah, like it's I feel like if I'm not ambitious, then I won't have what it is I'm looking forward to in the future, which is I want for myself and for now my baby that's coming into this world, I want them to have something to hold on to. I want like a legacy that my
Yes.
kids can like, talk about and carry on into the next generation. That's how far out I'm thinking, even after I'm gone. That's how far out I'm thinking. And that
Yes.
to me is ambition. And there's nothing wrong with that kind of ambition at all.
No, not at all.
But Tam, thanks so much for joining me. This was a really fun episode. Before I let you go, though, where can people follow you? How can people get in touch with you? And just shout out all your social media handles, email, whatever you need to shout out for people to follow you.
For sure. Okay, my Instagram is just my first name, Tamirra, Tamirra. Roach, last name, like the bug, at oh no, not at. That's Instagram. But that's my Instagram handle, just my first name and my last name. And then my email is the same, but there's first name with a T in the middle, last name @gmail.com. I don't use Twitter because I feel like it's really dramatic. I do have a TikTok, and that is the same, just my first name and my last name. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, any questions, how can I get into this, XYZ, just send me a little message and I'll get back to you.
All right, everyone. There you have it. You know how to get in touch with her now. I will tag all of this at the bottom of the video and in the link as well. Again, Tam, thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully we can get you back for another episode, another season. Ladies, gentlemen, if you are watching as well, I know I have a few male listeners. I hope you took something from this episode. And again, Tam, thank you so much. We will see you, ladies, again for the season or next episode next Monday, the season finale, episode 5. Talk to you guys later. I'll see you guys soon.
All new episodes of Extraordinary Women air every Monday right here on YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to subscribe to all 3 platforms so you don't miss a thing. And remember, ladies, keep on thriving.